Alright, so today we're going to react to a Zefrank sea cucumbers. I've seen a lot of his videos, but I haven't seen this one yet, so let's see what it's about. He never disappoints.
This episode is sponsored by Brilliant. Learn to think.
True facts is not appropriate for
This
children.
charming little fellow is an echinoderm in the class Holothoroidea. Holothoroids are often referred to as sea cucumbers because some of them look like cucumbers of the pickling variety.
The pickling variety.
But in case you're wondering, it's not that simple. You can't just name things what they look like. Sea turd, right? That wouldn't be appropriate. There's rules to it. Fat dumpfish, ocean loaf. Those wouldn't fly either. They're not named things like demon feces. Or zombie pug with a weird baby face on it. It's cucumbers, all right? Have some respect. Anyway, let's back up a bit and start right before the beginning.
Alright, before the
It
beginning.
is spawning season, and male sea cucumbers begin by arching their bodies
What is that thing? Do you guys see what that thing's... What is it doing?
upwards into what is known as the cobra position. Slowly at first, the males release sperm into the water from a small hole called a gonopore. Jerry, I told you I don't want that shrimp in the shot. See? What did I tell you? It's wearing the ejaculate like it's a house coat.
It's wearing it like it's a house coat. Oh, I love this guy. I love him so much. If you guys aren't subscribed to him, go subscribe right now.
It's eating it? Well, that's even worse, Jerry. Look at that one. He's shoveling it right in, isn't he? I mean, I guess from the shrimp's perspective, this is pretty exciting. It's like being on a splash pad where nacho cheese comes out the holes. What, Jerry? Why not sperm? Why didn't I say a splash pad where sperm comes out the holes? Well, Jerry, that wouldn't be an analogy. That's basically what's happening. They probably have that. You've heard us. Sorry, we're getting distracted. Downstream from the males, the females catch the drift. Literally. You know, Marjorie, there's a little something on your cheek. Let me get it for you. Oop.
Does anybody have a napkin for these sea cucumber ladies?
Marjorie, I think it's time we release our eggs. And that's what they do. They release their eggs, and then there's sperm and eggs floating around together. It's like an orgy for introverts. No need to interact. Anyway, when a sperm and egg cell meet, they fuse, and then they divide and grow, and eventually become a sea cucumber larva. Now in Latin, they know how to give a name. In this first stage, they're called auricularia, or little ear. It swims around and eats until it becomes a doliolaria, or little barrel. This is when it navigates to the seafloor and goes through a metamorphosis.
Now I feel like I'm in a science
lesson. On one side
lesson.
of its body, this little ring thing develops with tubes coming off of it. This will become a water pump system that will power their tentacles and their feet. After some rearranging, it emerges as a pentacula, or five-tentacled thing. And that's the thing about studying Latin. You'd think it'd be all about toga parties and orgies.
It's
but
not.
Then you find out the only people that use it are the science hippies.
Science hippies.
Sure, they throw a good orgy, but when it's done, good luck finding your Birkenstocks in that pile. Anyway, most sea cucumber babies go through this whole process out there in the water alone. However, Synaptula hydriformis does it different. It broods its babies inside of its body. And when they're ready, they pop right out of its butt. These juveniles are tiny, but they have all the sea cucumbery bits they need to start cucumbering. Their body plan is arranged in a circle like their cousins, the sea stars. Here, take a sea star, put a pin in it, and blow it up like a ball. Now you basically have a sea urchin. Flip that on its side and stretch it out into a tube, and you have the basic body plan of a sea cucumber. Kind of easy to see in this one, but in other species it can be more difficult. I mean, come on, that looks like a sneeze that tried to put itself back together. Now, around 470 million...
A sneeze that tried to put itself back together. Where does he come... Who are his writers? There's no way any one person could come up with all these... It's crazy. I love it.
Years ago, sea cucumbers went full mush and lost most of their hard bits. They still technically have an internal skeleton, but it's a bit of a stretch if you ask me. They're little pieces that are sort of spread out through the body. Looks a little like alphabet soup for sadists. They might not look like much, but they are attachment points for collagen fibers and give structure to the body. What's more is sometimes these little anchor shapes stick out and...
They really do look like anchors. Look at them. Those really do look like anchors, don't they? They really do.
Provide grippage as they move about. Their mouth hole.
Fine grippage. It's like he sits there, or whoever his writers are. If he writes it, if his right, it's like they sit there with a thesaurus. and they just go to town.
And their tentacles are supported by another hard bit called a calcareous ring. To move, the sea cucumber uses 3 systems that often work together. First, a series of tubes and canals are powered by water pressure. Second, muscle fibers run up the length of the body. And third, they have a special kind of collagen under nervous control that can change between stiff and floppy. Jerry, that's a rock. Oh, that's better.
Can change between stiff and floppy. And then Jerry's got a picture of a rock, so they gotta find a sea cucumber. I love when he does that. Jerry, this isn't what we're supposed to be looking at.
In this shot, you can see that fat stiffy really filling up the...
You can't let your kids watch this. It's great. It's like David Attenborough, but allowed to, like, say things.
palm of that man's hand. But within minutes, it can become completely limp. Imagine that.
After a couple minutes in the hand, it becomes completely limp.
I mean, you could play with one of those for hours. With all this specialized equipment, sea cucumbers have figured out a number of ways to move about. Deep-sea scotoplanes mainly use their water-powered tubed feet, which are equipped with a special adhesive that can attach to the ocean floor and then detach. Not the fastest animal, but I mean, it's really f***ing slow, isn't it? However, if you speed things up a bit, it certainly seems like they know where they're going. And
They look so weird, don't they? They're like little loaves of bread. Forget loaves like he was talking about earlier. They look like little tiny loaves of bread.
They're wondering why everything's moving so friggin' fast. Many species combine the use of their grabby tubed feet with a wave-like compression and expansion of their bodies. Some species don't even have tubed feet, but they can crawl around in a way that looks just like how vomiting feels.
Just like how vomiting. Is this how vomiting feels to you guys? It feels a lot more uncomfortable to me.
Now, some of them have really gotten the hang of it and can put on a bit of speed. Look at this one. He looks like a happy puppy. Of course, the real show-offs put it all together and figured out how to swim. Look at that. Takes right off.
It's like a little ballerina, just taking off all gracefully.
Then slowly undulates like a that's trying to suck itself. Many species have adaptations.
He bleeped it. Was he saying a thing or a thing? Oh, God, I don't know.
That help them swim or float in the current. We'll get to those in a moment, right after a brief message about our sponsor. Brilliant is a remarkable way to learn. They've figured out how to teach science and mathematics in a way that's bite-sized and interactive, and that takes some of the pressure out of approaching
I like
new
when
concepts.
people do their own ads like this. His voice
fun.
is enjoyable
Brilliant
to listen
has thousands
to for
of
this
lessons,
ad.
from the
Watching
basics all
somebody
the way
else,
through to the advanced
watching
stuff.
just the
For
ad
example,
for this would be
Intro to
so
Algebra
annoying.
is a perfect
But
way
when
to
he
get
does
more
it,
comfortable
it's
with
great.
equations and graphs, and how they work
I
together to
love
show
him
you patterns
so
in the world
much.
around you.
I want to
Algebra
be
can
him.
be intimidating, but
I
if you
can't
work
be.
on it bit by
I don't
bit,
got that
you start to
voice.
build up an instinct. Now, one of my favorite topics is how
Or the
neurons
thesaurus,
work.
apparently.
Sea cucumbers don't have brains like we do, but by learning about neural networks, you can see how simple rules can give rise to very complex and coordinated behaviors. I don't know about you, but I want to learn every single thing in the world. And honestly, I'm a bit behind schedule, but I want to go at my own pace, Mom. And that's why I recommend Brilliant. To get started for free, visit brilliant.org/Zefrank or click.
So why don't you guys visit that? So he gets the credit for you guys going to the website or whatever. Use that when you go there, the brilliant.org/Zefrank. Thank him
Click on the link in the description.
for always being so funny. And go subscribe to him.
The first 200 of you will get 20% off Brilliant's annual premium subscription. I'm a fan and happy to have Brilliant as a sponsor. Where were we? Oh, right. Many sea cucumbers have special adaptations for swimming or floating. Some have skirts that look like an umbrella doing the breaststroke. There's this one. Apparently that thing in the back is some sort of a sail.
Is it a sail or is it like a fin? Is it trying to look tough?
Whole thing looks like an amputated clown foot. What do you think's inside those clown shoes? Some use their oral tentacles to sort of pull themselves along.
Well, that one's a little disturbing to watch, isn't it? It's kind of scary. And what's glowing in its stomach? Did it eat something that glows?
Ice cream scoops? Oh crap, you know what that is. Every once in a while, Satan releases a murder chicken. Let me tell you, if that thing gets up to the surface, we're all f***ed. Murder chicken. Most species only swim for a short period of time to avoid a predator or maybe have a change in scenery. However, sea cucumbers in the genus Pelagathoria decided to go full jellyfish. They spend their entire lives floating in the water. They are suspension feeders and use their tentacles to do the aquatic equivalent of licking air. It's not that easy to see with this one, but there are other suspension-feeding sea cucumbers that live on the sea floor. Rebecca, don't be shy now. Oh, there you are.
It's like a really creepy Nemo's house, you know?
Rebecca is in the genus Neothionidium, and she has fabulous tentacles. Sea cucumbers.
Real fabulous. Somebody get me her number.
Tentacles are actually highly modified tubed feet.
Don't get me her number.
And they are powered by water pressure. Here is Rebecca's friend Duke, who is in the genus Pseudocalachyrus and is also a suspension feeder. Look at his little feet holding on. Those shaggy little split ends at the tips of the tentacles are covered in a mucus-like...
I thought when he showed it at first, because it's like a little vessel, right? And then it's got all the things. I just thought like it was gonna spill out of it.
Substance. Waving them in the water traps algae and tiny invertebrates, along with some other crap, like actual crap. You see, there are no toilets in the ocean, except one. The ocean. So there's that, and then when a fish dies, or a whale, there's no place to flush it. So at the bottom of the ocean, there is a gentle rain made of shit and rotting flesh. And that's what sea cucumbers eat. I mean, that's a niche right there. It's a niche you get when you show up late to when they...
I'm glad I don't live on the bottom of the ocean. I haven't eaten poop and dead animals. They call it snow. It's snow.
They were handing out niches. So what do we have left here? There's live inside volcano and eat all the ocean's shit. But credit to them, the sea cucumbers really took that job and ran with it.
This one looks really creepy.
The ones that crawl around basically just eat the floor. It's like if your carpet was covered in Cheetos crumbs and you walked around in your hands and then licked your fingers. I mean, they're like a Roomba. If Roombas took giant shits on your carpet.
If I had a Roomba that looked like that, I wouldn't come home.
Because that's what happens. If it goes in one side, it's got to come...
It's like a yogurt machine.
Not the other. And listen, if you see through, it's embarrassing.
Like a frozen yogurt machine. Okay, this dude needs to put some clothes on, because it is completely transparent.
Having a full load. And it turns out they're doing something pretty important. The science hippies call it nutrient cycling. Essentially processing the waste and pooping it out in a form that other things can eat. It's not what I'd want to be known for, but it's not nothing.
I wouldn't want to be known for eating what it shit out.
And it's like my mother used to say. You find me a grain of sand that hasn't been through the ass of a sea cucumber. Good luck with that. And while we're on the subject, let me tell you, this is no ordinary run-of-the-mill anus.
Don't tell me something lives in there. I think that's where this is going.
It is a cloaca, sort of
like chickens and lizards have.
Of an ass plus, a hole for every season. You know what it's doing right there? It's breathing out its butt, because that back hole also connects to something called a respiratory tree. Here, let's have a look inside.
Oh, it's not. Oh, he did. We're looking inside. A respiratory tree. Is that like its lungs? Creepy.
Me, that looks like a plate at a zombie buffet. Well, the respiratory tree is right around here. It's analogous to our lungs. Water is drawn into the respiratory tree, and that's how sea cucumbers get oxygen.
At least nothing lives in there.
Some species also seem to get nutrients through that tree, and sometimes that cloaca can look like it's staring right at you, right into your soul. And let me tell you, if they decide to exhale quickly and you're on the business end, you'll feel it. It's how they lift off when they want to swim. And watch this, drop some ballast right out the same hole. Pew!
Why couldn't we have this in school, you know? I paid attention in science anyway. I'm just saying, more kids might have.
Now, the problem with packing an awesome hole like that is that there's going to be folks snooping around trying to get a look-see. I know you know about the pearlfish. Everyone knows about the pearlfish. Shameless self-promoter. But no one's talking about the crab. Not much.
fish and a crab now?
I'd rather have the fish than the crab. It's more of a contoured fit.
Yeah, it kind of goes with the shape. The crab, who's got a shape like this, you know, with all the feet and the clickers?
I mean, that looks like it'd tickle. And then there's an even tinier crab
Tickle? I don't think that's the word.
that lives in their respiratory tree. No wonder that some sea cucumbers have evolved anal teeth. Try bringing those.
Try wiping that baby's butt, right? Oh, God.
To a dentist. Gotta pay extra. But you can't really blame the fish and the crabs and the nudibranchs.
That one's pretty. Look at it. I want one of those. Where do I get that?
Apparently the body of a sea cucumber is a nice place to live. Nope, no, Jerry. We've seen quite enough of that filthy shrimp. Oh, look. That snail's trying to have a ride on that sea cucumber. What's that? Oh, it's trying to eat it. Oh, that's terrifying. The flesh of sea cucumbers has toxins in it, which make it unappetizing for many predators. But apparently the ton snail is not one of them. Even if you taste like crap, it's dangerous down there. You want to see how dangerous? Look at this. These science hippies made clay models of a sea cucumber. Apparently that's what you do with a PhD.
You spend all that time in school, you get your bachelor's, you go to grad school, you defend your thesis, and then you make clay cucumbers.
And look at them. Don't have to do much to model a sea cucumber, do you? Anyway, they put these turdlets in the water and look at all those bite marks. It's not safe. They need some good defense. Some of them went straight for the obvious. Shoot streamers out your ass. Sea cucumbers.
They go for the obvious. Shoot streamers out your behind. It's so absurd, and then he calls it the obvious.
In the family Holothuriidae have these tubules inside their body attached to their breathing apparatus. When they're stressed, they clench real hard and burst the inside lining of their
That's not what happens when I get nervous and clench real hard.
butt or cloaca. When they do that, their body fluid sort of rushes out the backside and the tubes go with it. Then they force water from their butt lungs into the tubes, which causes them to elongate. Now, this has a couple of benefits. Here, I know what you're
He gives it a nice hairdo on his back bit.
thinking. What's that old hippie doing in the ocean? Well, the joke's on you. That's a sea cucumber in disguise. Aside from the camouflage, these tubules get very sticky on contact. And that's not easy to do. You try making a glue that's sticky underwater. Anyways, it makes a big f***ing mess and can tangle up a predator. Like this crab that doesn't know what personal boundaries are.
It's the crab from earlier. They just decided they were done letting him be in there.
On top of that, the tubules are toxic. And the sea cucumber can crawl away from all this because the tubes detach, and they grow back too. And you know that ton snail that was eating the sea cucumber? Well, now it's a ton snail covered in silly string eating a sea cucumber.
But it's still eating it.
Take that, you astropod. But sea cucumbers have another sleeve up their butt. When threatened,
Another sleeve up their butt.
sea cucumbers can go through a process called evisceration. That special collagen they have goes soft in certain places on their insides. This allows sea cucumbers to rupture and expel their intestines and other organs, out the back or the front, depending on the species. Aside from being disgusting, it gives the predators something to chew on. And you know what? Sometimes sea cucumbers eviscerate just for the hell of it, to clean out the pipes.
Instead of doing a bowel cleanse, you just remove your bowel and grow another one. You don't need to do a juice cleanse.
Because they can grow all that back in a couple months. Must feel good to have fresh insides. Like changing your underwear. And check this out. Their digestive tract grows back from each end and meets in the middle. I'm sure they're happy to see each other. Hello, mouthhole. Hello, and that is how the sea cucumber
Oh, he's great.
do.
How the sea cucumber do.
Helen, I know you're in there. Helen, what are you doing inside of Frederick's anus? Well, did you ask Frederick if he wanted someone in his anus? Well, you should do. Maybe
Yeah, you should ask.
Frederick gets a turn in your anus next. See how you like it. Your little fish eyes would pop right out.
The fish is much smaller.
You've been eating his gonads, haven't you, Helen? Well, don't apologize to me. Apologize to Frederick. And his anus.
Thank you guys. Please go subscribe. I'll have a link to the original video and a link to Zefrank's main page. Go subscribe to him. Tell him how funny you think he is if you've never seen him before. I just thought I'd share this. I hadn't watched this one yet, but, you know, I love the rest of his videos. And he does do a TED Talk where he asks everybody to see if they're all humans. And it was kind of depressing, but really funny at the same time. But, you know, thank you guys. Go subscribe to him. Please. Thank you.